Hello dear students, myself Dr. Sachin Gurule, Assistant Professor from Department of Zoology, KTHM College, Nasik. Now in the previous video belongs to the subject Animal Diversity 4, we have completed the chapter number 2, that is Introduction to Class Aves. And with this video we are going to start with the next chapter, chapter number 3, that is Introduction to Class Mammalia. And in the first lecture of this chapter, we are going to learn the silent features of class Mammalia and the examples of the class Mammalia. What is meant by class Mammalia? Now that Mammalia word is coming from the Latin word, and the word is a mamma, meaning the breast. Okay, so the most characteristic feature of all the mammals is the presence of the mammary gland or presence of the breast in case of the female, and these are useful for providing the nourishment to the young ones. So the young ones of all this group, that is Mammalia, they are nourished on the milk which is produced by the mammary glands of the mother. So here you can see in the two diagram. So this is a deer, female deer. She is giving nourishment to her cub via the mammary gland, and that is responsible for producing the milk. So which is the most important characteristic feature for all kinds of the mammals. Okay, so in addition to that, they has a several features which is quite different from that of the other rest of the phylum. So let's see one by one the general characteristic features of Mammalia. Now first of all, the body of the mammalian organism, they are differentiated into the four parts, that is head, neck, trunk and tail. But again, if you see the various animals which are included into the class Mammalia, they have the variable body shape. So here in this diagram we can see the few of the examples belongs to that Mammalia. So in every case you will find that their body shape is greatly variable, as this class Mammalia, it contains the more heterogeneous group of animals, and these are highly evolved animals compared to the animals belongs to the other phylum. The next characteristic feature, again, the exoskeleton is in the form of hairs. So each and every mammals, if you see on their integument, they are always provided with the exoskeletal derivatives, and that exoskeletal part in case of this all mammals is in the form of hairs. So you will find the hairs all over the body of the organisms, and these hairs are act as an insulator for maintaining the constant body temperature, and hence all these organisms belongs to that Mammalia. They are capable of maintaining their constant body temperature irrespective of the environmental temperature. Hence they are known as homeothermic animals. Homeo means even and thermic means temperature, means they can able to maintain the constant or even body temperature irrespective of the environmental fluctuation in the temperature. So these homeothermic organisms, they are also known as the warm-blooded organism. But instead of warm-blooded organism, we should use the concept only homeotherms, that is the capability of organism to maintain their constant body temperature. Okay, the next characteristic feature is the skin is a thick, is a glandular, and they are provided with a sebaceous gland. So gland is the skin is quite thick in case of all the mammals, and they are always provided with a various kinds of the glands. And one of the important gland which is present into the integument of the mammal is a sebaceous gland, which is concerned with the secretion of the sebum. Okay, so this is again a characteristic one. Now mammary glands, which is the most important or the most distinctive characters of the mammals, is always present, which are actually the modified epidermal glands and that modified epidermal glands are concerned with the secretion of the milk. Okay, but this mammary gland present in both male as well as female, but in case of male they are inactive, while in case of females they are active, particularly into the puberty, and these are responsible for secretion of the milk, and that milk is useful for feeding their young ones. So the presence of mammary gland we have already seen, which is the prime character for all the animals belongs to the class Mammalia. Okay, the next character, all these mammalian organisms, they are tetrapods. Tetrapods in the sense they are having a pair of fore and hind limbs. So there are total 4 legs are there. 2 are into the pectoral girdle and 2 are lies into the pelvic girdle. So which are respectively known as the forelimb and the hind limb. So hence they are known as the tetrapod, as they are walking on the 4 legs. Now limbs are always pentadactyl. So here if you see a few examples of that mammalia, if you see the limbs are always pentadactyl. Pentadactyl in the sense they are having the 5 fingers or the 5 digits. So in each case, so here you can see the diagram of the man. The man, you can able to recognize the 5 digits. Then if you see again the cat, any kind of the cat is ranging from our house cat, or you can take an example of the tiger also. So all they are also provided with a such a 5 digits. Okay, then again this is the example of a whale. So in case of whale, the limbs are get modified into the flippers, and but that flippers, if you see the internally, they are also provided with a 5 digits. Then and this is the example of the bat. Here you can see there are total 5 digits are there, which is enlarged and which are going to give the support to the special thing, that is patagium, for the purpose of flying adaptation, as well as either the nails are always present. So here you can see the nails are present on their digits, or maybe that nails are get modified into the hoops. So here you can see the hoops, which is generally found into the herbivorous large animals such as cattle, deer, zebra, wildebeest, okay, buffalo. You will always found such a kind of the hoops on their legs. So which is again a characteristic features. Then limbs are variously adapted for the purpose of walking, for the purpose of running, burrowing, swimming, flying, etc. As I have already told you that the class Mammalia contains the more heterogeneous group, and they are showing a various adaptation. So that limbs in most of the purposes, it is useful for the purpose of walking and the running. If you see the animals like a deer, wildebeest, then a zebra, their limbs are useful for the purpose of running, or you can take the example of the horse. Then certain mammals, they are burrowing, and for that purpose, to living into the burrows, the limbs are useful for the purpose of making the burrow into the sand or into the particular substratum. So at that time, limbs are useful for the purpose of burrowing. Now there are certain aquatic mammals also. For example, you can take the example of the whale. So here the limbs are useful for the purpose or modified for the purpose of swimming, and you can take the example of the bat, where their limbs are get modified for the purpose of flying. So in this way, the limbs, they shows a various adaptation to perform a different kinds of the functions, such as walking, running, burrowing, swimming, and the flying. Okay, the next character, if you see the skull has a large cranial cavity. So you can see the skull of the human here, and it has a large cranial cavity which encloses the brain. So brain is always well developed among all the mammals. And if you see the number of bones belongs to that skull, the number of bones are greatly reduced among all the mammals. Okay, so lower jaw, this is a lower jaw, and this lower jaw is reduced to a single bone. So here you can find here, so this is a condyle by which this lower jaw is going to attach to the main region of the skull, and this lower jaw is usually get reduced and it is made up of only the single bone. So this is also a characteristic feature you will found into the skull of all the mammals. Then teeth are heterodont, thecodont, and the diphyodont. So let's see one by one. First of all, what is meant by heterodont? Heterodont dentition, in the sense, in case of mammals, you will find a different types of teeth. For example, if you take the example of human, the front teeth, with the help of which we can able to cut or take a bite of the food material, which is known as the incisors. So next to the incisor, there are generally the canines. That canines are useful for the tearing purpose. Then after comes the premolar and the molar. So there are four types of teeth generally found among the mammals organism. So therefore, as they are belongs to the four types, and they are referred as heterodont. Then second one, the teeth are thecodont. Thecodont, in the sense, the teeth are lodged into the sockets of the upper as well as lower jaw. Okay, so when teeth are inserted into the jaws bone, such a kind of the teeth are referred as the thecodont type of teeth. And they are also known as a diphyodont. Diphyodont, in the sense, in most of the mammals, the teeth, first of all, the whatever first set of the teeth is there, if it is worn out, then the new set of the teeth can be replaced. So teeth, they are generally arises twice, hence it is referred as the diphyodont. So in this way, the teeth found into the mammals, they are heterodont, having the different types, thecodont, as they are lodged into the bone sockets of jaw sockets of the upper and lower jaw, and diphyodont, as they are arises twice, hence they are referred as a diphyodont. Then buccal cavity, it contains a salivary gland. So large salivary gland is present, which is responsible for giving out the secretion of the saliva. And if you see the tongue is mobile one among all the mammals. Then the larynx contains well developed vocal cords, and these vocal cords are very important for the purpose of sound production. So here you can see the view of the larynx. So this larynx is made up of a different kinds of the cartilage. So the different kinds of the cartilage, they are going to form the sound box, and these vocal cords are, when the air passes through that vocal cords, is responsible for producing a sound, which is again a characteristic feature of the mammals. So in the larynx, the glottis is guarded by the epiglottis. So here in the diagram you can see this is the epiglottis, and the glottis is generally guarded with the help of this epiglottis. So this is the structure of larynx you will found among the mammals. The next character is the alimentary canal leads to the anus, and cloaca is absent. Cloaca, in the sense, the cloaca is generally the common opening for the digestive, urinary, as well as the reproductive system, which is generally found into the other organism. Particularly if you take the example of the fishes, you will never found a separate opening for all these systems, and at that time we referred that opening as a cloaca. But among the mammals, the anus is always there. Anus is nothing but a separate opening for the digestive system, and for the reproductive and the urinary system, there are the different opening or the different orifices there. So digestive system starts with the mouth. It leads into the long alimentary canal, particularly among the herbivorous organism. In the carnivorous organism, the length of the alimentary canal is generally short, and this alimentary canal ends into the anus. So this is again a characteristic feature. Then if you see the lungs are well developed, as all the mammals are, almost all the mammals, they are terrestrial and they are air breathing. Okay, few of the animals belongs to that mammalia, though they are living into the water or they are aquatic mammals, but still they also provided with a highly developed lungs, and that with the help of lungs they can breathe the air for getting the oxygen and removing the carbon dioxide. So which is again the features among the mammals. The next character is the heart is four chamber, and that four chamber, so here you can see the diagram of the heart. So it consists of the two auricles and two ventricle, and there is the complete separation of the oxygenated and the deoxygenated blood you will found among the mammals, which is again a characteristic features. So thus there are total four chambers, two are auricles and two are ventricle, and these auricles and the ventricles, they are separated by a septum. So there is a complete separation, and the circulation is referred as the double circulation. Okay, then diaphragm is separate the thoracic cavity from that of the abdominal cavity. So here in this diagram, if you see, so this region of the chest is referred as a thoracic cavity, which contains the cavity which is known as a thoracic cavity, while the abdominal region contains a cavity which is known as an abdominal cavity. Now this thoracic and abdominal cavity, it is get separated by with the help of this diaphragm. So diaphragm is always there, and which is the boundary or which is responsible for separating the thoracic cavity from that of the abdominal cavity. So this is again the another characteristic feature. The next one concerned with the brain. So brain in among all the mammals is highly developed. So here you can see the examples of your brain. For example, this is the brain of human, this is the brain of elephant, dolphin. Now this is the macaque, that is gorilla, mouse, cat and dog. Now this is overall the structure of the brain, and if you see, the brain is highly developed among all the mammals, and particularly they are provided with a large cerebrum and the cerebellum. Okay, the optic lobes, they are divided into the corpora quadragemina, and the corpora collapsum connects the two walls of the cerebrum. So which is again a characteristic. So optic lobes, they are always divided into the corpora quadragemina. So they are provided with a furrow or the depression which is responsible for separation of the cerebrum also and the optic lobes also. Okay, then you will found always the 12 pairs of cranial nerves. So the cranial nerves are the nerves which are directly originating from the brain, and they are going to give the innervation into the various organs in the head region, and all such nerves are referred as the cranial nerves. And among the many vertebrate, they are provided with a cranial nerves, and in case of mammals there are total 12 cranial nerves you will found among the brain of the mammals. Then eyes, they are provided with a movable eyelid. So here you can see they can able to blink their eyes is due to only position of the movable eyelid. So movable eyelid is another characteristic feature. Then again, if you see the external ear pinna, the external ear pinna is also movable in many animals. Okay, so the middle ear has the ear ossicle, and inner ear has a membranous labyrinth. So this is a membranous labyrinth which is containing a different kinds of the semicircular canal. So there are vertical semicircular canal, then lateral canals are there, then utriculus is there, so which is responsible for forming the internal layer, or it is also referred as the membranous labyrinth. So here in this diagram you can see this is the ear pinna which is known as the external ear, and this is the cavity which joins the external ear with that of the internal ear, and this structure is known as a membranous labyrinth or the internal ear. And this is the magnified view of the internal ear, which is provided with a semicircular canals, and this semicircular canal containing the fluid which is the one of the organ concerned with the balancing. So the membranous labyrinth is also well developed among the mammals. Then as far as the excretory system is concerned, the excretory system is consist of the well developed kidneys, and obviously the kidneys are metanephric, or one can say the most developed kidneys you will find among the mammals. And these kidneys are metanephric type, and ureter opens into the urinary bladder. So there is a temporary storage of the urine into the sac-like structure which is known as a urinary bladder. So you will found the urinary bladder. So urine is get formed into the kidneys, and via this ureter that urine is travel into the urinary bladder where it is temporarily stored and it is passed out or it is thrown outside the body via the small opening which is known as a urethra. So this is about the excretory system. Then as far as the sexes is concerned, the sexes are always separate. So here you can see the male and female are completely different animal or the different individual, and they are provided with a paired gonads. Paired gonad in the sense there are pair of testes in the male and there are pair of ovaries among the females. Okay, but if you see the gonads, the male gonads are generally found on outside the abdominal cavity and they are generally descendant into the scrotal sac, which is again a characteristic feature. But if you see the gonads of the female gonads are obviously they are the abdominal one, that is they are lies within the abdomen. But in case of the testes of the male, which is the male gonad, they are descendant into the spatial sac which is known as a scrotal sac. Then copulatory organs are always present into the male, which is commonly known as a penis, and they are useful for the purpose of copulation, that is transferring the spermatozoa into the female genital tract during the coitus, and after that they are following the fertilization, and that fertilization is internal, means the fertilization take place within the body of female, hence it is referred as the internal fertilization. So all mammals they show the internal fertilization. Then all individual except the prototherian are the viviparous. Prototherians, so these are the examples of few prototherian organism. So that prototherians are also known as a monotremes. So here you can see the examples of the duck-billed platypus is there, then this one is the anteater is there. Okay, so these are the mammals, they are not showing a viviparity, but instead they are provided with a capability of laying the eggs. So these are also known as a egg-laying mammals. So except this prototherian organism, all other mammals they are viviparous, that is they are directly giving the birth to their young ones. The next character is embryo develops within a uterus of the female among almost all the mammal except the monotremes. Again these are the monotremes or the prototherian, which are the egg-laying mammals, where the development of their embryo is take place within the egg, as they are egg-laying mammals, while rest of all the mammals they are provided with the viviparity, and in the viviparity the development of the embryo is take place within a womb, or one can say the uteri of the female, and this is always responsible for forming the placenta, which gives the nourishment to the developing embryo. So which is a most generality you will found among the mammals. So this is about the different general or the silent characteristic features of the class Mammalia. So then let's see the examples. So few examples of the class Mammalia. You can see the Tachyglossus, which is known as a spiny anteater. Now this is a prototherian or the monotreme organism, which are egg-laying mammal. Then second example, you can see the Ornithorhynchus. The Ornithorhynchus is commonly known as a duck-billed platypus. So these are also the monotremes and they are egg-laying organism. Then another example is the Didail fish, which is commonly known as an opossum. So this opossum, they are arboreal animals, they are living on the trees. So they are also the examples of the mammals. Then the Rodentia, you can see the ratus, which is commonly known as a rat. Then Oryctolagus, that is commonly known as the rabbit, which are the ganoid organisms, and they are also the well-known group of the mammal. Then there are certain herbivorous animal, large herbivorous animal, equus, which is commonly known as a zebra. Then you can see the macropus commonly known as a kangaroo, which is the native of the Australia. These are also the examples of the mammals. Now these are the marsupial mammal. Actually kangaroo is a marsupial mammal where they have the marsupium or special pouch in which their babies they are generally lodged, which is located here exactly into the abdominal region, which is a very special feature among the kangaroos. Then the rhesus macaques, which is commonly known as a monkey. They are also the examples of the mammals. Then Panthera, which is commonly known as a tiger, or Panthera tigris, which is commonly known as a tiger. So these are also the top carnivore mammals. And uh, not least, actually, the human being itself is an example of the mammalia. So this is about the general characteristic features of the mammalia and their execution. So thank you very much.